weather update from the Storm Center at Kettleland TV. I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Having trouble receiving Kello
Good morning.
107.9? If you're in the Sioux Falls Metro, try us at FM 105.1.
Here we go.
Kello, News Talk 1320, and now at 105.1. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sounded a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It's great to have you along this Wednesday, January 8th. We're watching this morning these wildfires in the Los Angeles area, and it is pretty extensive. So a number of fires that broke out near Los Angeles. This is very big news this morning. We will keep you updated on this with Fox News Radio throughout the course of the morning, causing a lot of destruction, and the video is a little bit chilling. You may have seen it this morning. Also, the big story, that is the big story, and it's happening right now. So again, we'll be having more for you from Fox News Radio over the course of the morning. Donald Trump yesterday, doing what Donald Trump does so best. Trump holding a news conference, making a number of comments that are just generating a news and reaction from a number of people this morning. He was talking about Greenland. He was talking about the Panama Canal. He was talking about Canada. And you're getting a reaction from folks in all of those places to what he was saying. But Donald Trump was talking about the Panama Control and Greenland in particular. And he was saying we need them for economic security, he said. And a reporter had asked Trump if he could assure the public that he would not use military or economic coercion to make that happen. And Trump said, no, I can't assure you of either of those two. He said, the Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that. No, might be that you'll have to do something, Trump said. And he talked about the Panama Canal being operated by China. He said, look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China, he said. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so than maybe the hostages. So he was talking about the hostages in Iran at the time. Remember that? Carter was really just unable to get those hostages back. And in fact, and Iran waited then actually to return them. It wasn't until Ronald Reagan was sworn in and became president. So to add insult to injury to Jimmy Carter, Iran holding on to those hostages. So Donald Trump saying maybe even more than that, giving up the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, Trump saying. So talking about getting the Panama Canal back. And again, he said he was talking about the Central American trade route, and he said he was considering using only economic power. Well, this was talking about Canada. making Canada the 51st state. And he said that he was, in that case, he was considering using only economic power, not military pressure toward Canada. And Trump, talking about it, said that would really be something of Canada becoming the 51st state. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like. And it would also be much better for national security, Trump said. He talked about the U.S. trade deficit with Canada, saying that's okay to have if you're a state, but if you're another country, we don't want to have it, Trump said. And, he's talked about the tariffs then on imports from Canada. But he said there would be no tariffs then if Canada becomes a U.S. state. That he said on True Social. And there's a lot of reaction to that. And I will get to that. So Trump not ruling out military force then to take back the Panama Canal. He also, at this news conference, talked about changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, he said. And he was slamming Mexico for what's been happening. But Trump said, we're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring. That covers a lot of territory, Trump said. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name, and it's appropriate. And some are saying, well, it's been the Gulf of Mexico since the 1500s. It's been the Gulf of Mexico. Trump talking about changing it. Trump said Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. We're going to put some very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers. So we're going to have to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs, Trump said. So what's the reaction then to Donald Trump saying that Canada could become America's 51st state? As you might imagine, it's not being very well received in Canada. Justin Trudeau said on X yesterday, there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. Workers and communities in both our countries benefit from being each other's biggest trading and security partner. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister said President-elect Trump's comments show a complete lack of understanding of what makes Canada a strong country. Our economy is strong. Our people are strong. We will never back down in the face of threats. The conservative leader in Canada responded and said, we are a great and independent country. And he said that Canada supplies the U.S. billions of high quality and totally reliable energy, he said. They also buy billions of dollars in U.S. products. And he said, our weak and pathetic NDP liberal government, he's talking about in Canada now, Canada's government, our weak and pathetic NDP liberal government has failed to make these obvious points. So that's the reaction from the Great White North. Donald Trump also getting a reaction from Greenland. Trump was talking about Greenland, saying we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security, Trump said. And he said yesterday that Chinese and Russian ships that are making passes around Greenland, and he said, we're not letting that happen. So then you've got the Prime Minister of Denmark responding to this in an interview, saying that the Prime Minister has been very, very clear that there's a lot of support among the people of Greenland, that Greenland is not for sale and will not be in the future either. So Denmark is saying no to that idea. Trump said on True Social this week he was hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. And he attached a video that shows a Greenlander asking the U.S. to buy the country. And so yesterday, Donald Trump Jr. arriving in Greenland, and Trump wrote on True Social, he said, Don Jr. and my reps are landing in Greenland. The reception has been great. They in the free world need safety, security, strength, and peace. This is a deal that must happen. MAGA, make Greenland great again, Trump said. So that has got people in a number of different countries all stirred up over the statements that Trump was making yesterday. That's a big story. Also, former President Jimmy Carter is lying in state at the U.S. Capitol. Started yesterday. The funeral service will actually be tomorrow. President Biden, they're expected to deliver a eulogy of Jimmy Carter. And you've had a number of folks who are already eulogizing Jimmy Carter. Kamala Harris did yesterday, honoring Jimmy Carter as a gifted man who also walked with humility, modesty, and grace, she said. Recall the stories from the 1976 campaign about how he slept in the homes of his supporters to share a meal with them at their table and to listen to what was on their minds, she said. Also, we had Senator John Thune talking about Jimmy Carter yesterday. This was in the Capitol Rotunda. This was, it was a ceremony in the Rotunda. And Senator Thune remembered Jimmy Carter as someone who focused on making the lives of his fellow men better. That meant things like the Carter Center, which, among other things, works for the eradication of disease in some of the poorest areas of the globe. Senator Thune said that Jimmy Carter knew that his status as a former president could bring attention to good causes. That's why he encouraged Habitat to make use of his name and image. But simply lending his name or maybe attending a gala or two wasn't Jimmy Carter's style. He was here to get down in the weeds and the dirt, and he did that literally on numerous Habitat builds. House Speaker Mike Johnson also gave a short speech regarding Jimmy Carter yesterday, calling Jimmy Carter an extraordinary man. He applauded Carter's service in the military, his work with Habitat for Humanity. That really is standing out, I think, for many of us, the work that Jimmy Carter did in that vein. And Johnson said, I'm reminded of his admonition to, quote, live our lives as though Christ were coming this afternoon. And of his amazing personal reflection, if I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. And we all agree that he certainly did. So folks remembering Jimmy Carter. So his Casket was transported from Georgia, now in Washington, D.C., and it arrived. Horse-drawn caisson carried his casket to the Capitol, retracing the route of his inaugural parade in 1977. There were military honors. You have the ceremony in the Capitol Rotunda yesterday. So Jimmy Carter's casket now laying in state, allowing the public to remember Jimmy Carter, pay their respects for our former president. But Senator Thune, again, talking about Jimmy Carter, Thune said, it's remarkable to think that one of the 45 men who has served as our president would humble himself to such service. Talking about his humanitarian efforts, Habitat for Humanity would be an example. Thune also talked about Carter's deep faith, dedication to his fellow man, described Carter as first and foremost a faithful servant of his creator and his fellow man. So that Jimmy Carter's body now lying in state, and the funeral will take place on Thursday. One of the other big stories this morning, and I mentioned this on the fourth hour yesterday, is Meta. Mark Zuckerberg at Meta made an announcement, and there's a video, and I shared a portion of this, a brief portion of Zuckerberg's video. But Meta announced yesterday they are eliminating their third-party fact-checking program in an effort to restore free expression to Facebook. And Zuckerberg said, we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship, he said. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point toward once again prioritizing speech. So we are going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms, Zuckerberg says. Which is all well and good. Do you think that will happen? And do you trust Facebook at this point? Some of you I know have had your accounts suspended by Facebook for political speech in particular. And he said they're going to stop doing that. This is what Zuckerberg was saying, that they're going to stop policing the political speech, and they are going to a community notes model, much like X. So they're taking a page from Elon Musk at X in the community notes rather than, squelching posts or pulling them down. And Zuckerberg says they will be doing the same thing on Facebook, Instagram, and on Threads, he says. So how much of this is related to Donald Trump winning the election? I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that. We'll talk about it coming up this morning. There are a couple of editorials just at the New York Post. This is just from the New York Post. The Post editorial board has a piece this morning. Don't let Facebook off the hook for its pro-censorship past so easily. And that's one of the things that I watched this, and I went through Zuckerberg's statement. I've got it here this morning. What you're not seeing is Facebook saying, this was a mistake, this was a mistake. We're no longer, how much of this is the political, winds have changed. And now that, we have been seeing them move that way. Zuckerberg seems to more and more be moving in that direction, but is how sincere is that? We'll talk about that coming up this morning. But he said it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. He said that the content moderation system had shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas and had gone too far, he said. So there's another piece at the New York Post. Mark Zuckerberg promises not to censor anymore. Will he make up for punishing truth tellers before? And I think that's on the minds of many who have had their accounts suspended by Facebook, unable to access their account. And I can think of several people that I know right off the top of my head who have run into those kinds of problems with Facebook. So do you expect that Facebook will actually change, and how long will it last? So we'll talk about that coming up this morning. Great to have you along. 626. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along. It's cold this morning, mostly clear and 0. It feels like 13 below. No wonder I'm so cold. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weekend 6 to 9 p.m. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires. The Give You More Tire and Automotive Store.
Connect directly, bid confidently. At Purple Wave,
Think we'll ever see any changes at YouTube in terms of
connected directly to sellers, so you can inspect and bid.
They've been pretty good at clamping down on people too.
If you're looking for ag, construction, or fleet equipment, we're here to ensure a clear, hassle-free experience. Register today at purplewave.com and start bidding with peace of mind. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Poor Mark. Just when you thought he was done shoveling. Ah, fiddlesticks, not the plow. Winter driving you mad? Like Mark? I'm even Evan from Marv's Body Shop. This is Mad Mark. I'm mad at winter. If you should slip and slide yourself into a winter driving accident, don't get mad. Get even. Even Evan. That's me at Marv's Body Shop. We'll take care of you. Mark, you still mad at winter? Fiddlesticks. Marv's Body Shop.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
The current federal government is actually going $1 trillion deeper in debt every 100 days. That's why thousands are turning to Goldco, a top-rated gold company, to diversify their savings with time-tested safe haven assets, physical gold and silver. Right now, not only is Goldco offering a free gold and silver kit, but on qualified purchases, they'll give you up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver. Call 855-838-GOLD. That's 855-838-GOLD. Performance may vary. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Partly cloudy skies today in the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature reaching 27 degrees with a south wind at 5 to 15. Partly cloudy tonight, low temperature near 15, and then chances of light snow tomorrow. Winds picking up and temperatures warmer at 34 in the afternoon. That northwest wind gusting to 30. Temperatures near 29 Friday. From the storm.
Oh, you've sold me on those warmer temperatures coming up this week. Right now in Sioux Falls, it's mostly clear and 0. Feels like 13 below. All right, Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up, Attorney General Marty Jackley wants to put whistleblower protections into state law, protect state government workers. Also, the debate over the 10 Commandments in public schools is coming to South Dakota. Also, the Sioux Falls Area Humane Society has had a tough start this year. in Feeding South Dakota, celebrating their 50th anniversary serving the state. So Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you here in just a few moments. Fox News is next. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
I'm Chris Foster.
It went from, maybe we should think about maybe evacuating to, oh my God, we're evacuating.
Tens of thousands of people are running from wildfires in Los Angeles County, California. 3 fires burning out of control, damaging and destroying homes along the way.
Firefighters are stretched to the limit. The high winds, 99 miles an hour in the mountains. Down here at the beach, around 40 to 50 miles an hour. The situation here in Southern California is dire. This is probably going to be the most destructive, expensive fire in state history.
Fox's William Legendess in Pacific Palisades. Capitol Rotunda has reopened this morning in Washington for people to pay their respects to President Jimmy Carter.
He served the people, and he left the world better than he found it.
Vice President Kamala Harris at a memorial service after President Carter's arrival. There's a funeral tomorrow at Washington National Cathedral, then burial back home in Georgia. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. The 100th session of the South Dakota Legislature starts next week, and Attorney General Marty Jackley will be ready with a package of bills for lawmakers to consider. One proposed bill would create whistleblower protection for state employees who observe suspicious activity in state government.
I think given what we've seen now and in the most recent case coming from a whistleblower, those employees are entitled to protections. They ought to be able to come to their Attorney General without losing their job or having repercussions.
Government accountability is the centerpiece of Jackley's proposals following the recent cases of alleged state employee fraud within the Department of Revenue. The debate over the 10 Commandments in public schools is coming to South Dakota. First-term Republican Senator John Carley of Piedmont is sponsoring a new bill to make posting and teaching them a requirement. Carley believes it's important to recognize the historical significance of the 10 Commandments in U.S. history. If the bill passes, 10 Commandments will be posted in classrooms and taught as an historical document. Sioux Falls Area Humane Society has had a tough start to 2025. The shelter has seen an influx of animals, but they don't have the kennel space to house them all. They're currently caring for 264 cats and expect even more to come in. Shelter officials say if you've been thinking about adopting a furry feline, now's the time. You can visit the shelter or also the Catitude Cafe downtown to find your next pet. It's a milestone year for Feeding South Dakota. The nonprofit is celebrating its 50th anniversary serving the state. The organization started out as 2 small pantries on each side of South Dakota before turning into a statewide distribution center. The nonprofit is launching a new program called 605 Meal Makers, where people can donate $50 a month to provide 150 meals. And in college basketball, South Dakota State hits the road in Summit League play for the first time this season as the Jackrabbits travel to St. Paul to face off against St. Thomas. Tip-off is tonight at 8. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Partly cloudy skies today in the Sioux Falls area. High temperature at 27 with a south wind at 5 to 15. For tonight, thickening clouds, our low temperature at 15 degrees, and then a chance of light snow tomorrow. Winds pick up from the northwest, 15 to 30, and a high temperature at 34 degrees. That's your weather update from the Storm Center at Kettleland TV. I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
The radio station you're listening to now is Kello. Our addresses are AM 1320, FM 105.1, and worldwide at Kello.com.
Welcome to our annual Scam Week. Each year, we take the first week of January to help you fight scammers and cyber crooks. Today, it's one of the most dangerous scams of all, the tech support scam. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Download the CFO's Guide to Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning for free at netsuite.com/Kim. Anyone can fall for the tech support scam, but it's really aimed at those aged 60 and older. They didn't grow up with computers and smartphones. The scam begins with a pop-up message, usually showing a logo from Microsoft or Apple, saying, your computer has a virus. But the message isn't from Apple or Microsoft. Your computer's fine. The message will tell you to call a special toll-free number. Stay safe. Do not make that call. Do not click on that message. Just delete it. Remember, Microsoft, Apple, the FBI, Verizon, AT&T, or any bank will never call or text you. Over 600,000 people start their day with my free newsletter to get tech ahead. Sign up at getkim.com. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 41,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backward and more time on what's next. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. The guide is free for you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Callow News Talk 1320 107.9.
Hotline is sponsored by
Janet sent me an email regarding Mark Zuckerberg. I'll share that with you in a minute.
Optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today. That's ABC Seamless.
Get incredible savings now during the Hellerstadt's annual BOGO sales event. Suits and sport coats, buy one, get one free. Great selection. Only at Hellerstadt's Galleria location. 41st and Louise, Sioux Falls.
All right, you said bye-bye to big government and you want limited government. You voted for that. Well, now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless.
Yeah, folks on Facebook are not responding well to Zuckerberg's proposed changes.
They use the same cell towers. You get the same 5G network. You get better customer service, and they're based here in the U.S., and you pay half the price for the exact same thing. Well, that's right. There's simply no need to spend $85, $100 a month.
I'll share those comments coming up here in a moment.
You can get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot for just $35 a month. And by the way, the average family of 4.
And what's interesting, I mean, these are all folks who are on Facebook. Like I'm on Facebook, so interested in getting the point of view of people who are actually using the platform.
Save now from our friends at Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Weather brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Snow, sleet, freezing rain.
Chances are you don't like dealing with nasty winter weather, unless you're a snowplow driver. Woohoo!
My favorite time of year. For everyone else, you can find out what you're facing with up-to-the-minute forecasts on Callow News Talk.
.38, mostly cloudy, and 0 feels like 13 below right now at Kello. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. So we had Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook yesterday saying that they're going to start allowing political speech, and they'll start relying on community notes to police the platform, and it's not being well received by many. Janet sent me an email. She said all Zuckerberg is doing is covering his behind. He doesn't want Trump going after him, possibly getting into legal trouble at the federal level. So I popped over to Facebook as I asked that question of you this morning about Zuckerberg and this major announcement that he made yesterday. And I asked folks, are you expect to see any change in the discussion on Facebook? And folks are pretty doubtful. Kelly said, when you realize you saddled up to the wrong team and realize you're not really one of them, time will tell if it's genuine or just about money and power. Angie said, time will tell. So I'm taking a I'll wait and see what happens approach. kind of feel it's a CYA move on his part. So if you've got a comment that you would like to leave, please do so on my Facebook page. If you're not following me on Facebook, I would love to have you there. We've got a pretty nice following and pretty nice gang of folks there. I really love the gang at Facebook. And I would love to have you on board. So join me there. And of course, we do the 4th hour on Facebook each morning at 9:30. That's also on YouTube. You can watch it not in either place. Both places have not been very friendly, I think, at least in my opinion, when it comes to freedom of expression. So hopefully we'll begin to see those things change. And I hope that I'll see you there.
Trending now.
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gap.
All right, trending stories this morning. The fire in Los Angeles is really making a lot of headlines. Firefighters battle. This thing just really broke out yesterday, and the winds and dry conditions just boom, thing just took off. So the Los Angeles Fire Department said this is pretty much the worst possible scenario for a firefight, he said. So the fire has been dubbed the Palisades Fire. California Governor Gavin Newsom toured the area yesterday afternoon, said he saw not a few, many structures already destroyed. And by that time, the fire had burned nearly 2 square miles, was still growing. So folks were pretty desperate to evacuate. They left their cars, set out on foot. According to Los Angeles television, one who evacuated said, "We looked across and the fire had jumped from one side of the road to the other side of the road. People were getting out of the cars with their dogs and babies and bags. They were crying and screaming. The road was just blocked, like full on blocked for an hour." So just that is a massive story this morning, and some pretty shocking video as you watch those fires burning. Other stories trending this morning. Donald Trump yesterday declined to rule out using the U.S. military to take control of the Panama Canal and Greenland. In some remarks that Trump made yesterday, and I just detailed those for you a few minutes ago. But Trump was saying we need them for economic security. And that prompted a reporter to ask, well, would Trump assure the public that he would not use the military or economic coercion in pursuit of those lands? And he said, no, I cannot assure you of either of those two, Trump said. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that. And he said, it might be that you'll have to do something. What he's saying there, he's referring to the United States. So it might be that the United States has to do something here. So he's not ruling out military force. That's the headline of a number of stories this morning. Other stories involving Donald Trump. He announced yesterday that Damac Properties, this is a global real estate company, will invest at least $20 billion in the United States to construct data centers. So Trump made that announcement at a Mar-a-Lago press conference alongside the founder. And Trump said, I'm thrilled to announce today that Damac will be investing at least $20 billion over a very short period of time into the United States, and they may go double or even somewhat more than double that amount of money, Trump said. And he was, again, praising the head of Damac Properties as one of the most respected business leaders in the Middle East. And Trump said, I believe he will say he's doing it because of the fact that he was very inspired by the election. They wouldn't do it without that election. I can tell you, a lot of people wouldn't, Trump said. Also, U.S. Senate is set to vote on the Laken-Riley Act. You remember Laken-Riley? That's a bill that allows law enforcement to detain illegal immigrants who are accused of crimes. It passed the House of Representatives and it now goes to the Senate. And the legislation would require ICE to detain for deportation any migrant residing illegally in the U.S. who additionally is charged with, is arrested for, or is convicted of, or admits committing acts such as burglary, theft, larceny, any shoplifting offense, boom. So the Laken-Riley Act has passed the House, 264 to 159, on its way to the Senate. Also, the Wall Street Journal reporting that the United States, the Biden administration, negotiating with Afghanistan to exchange Americans detained in the country for at least one high-profile prisoner held in Guantanamo Bay. He's got ties to Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. So the Biden administration negotiating with the Taliban to make that happen. Isn't it interesting? I think especially since the election, Donald Trump has won the election. When it comes to what has been going on with the Israeli hostages that have been held for what now, over a year since that began. So you've got those Israeli hostages. If you notice, that story has just absolutely fallen off the map, just fallen off the grid. The Biden administration, what are they doing? Every day is just another exercise in futility with this administration. Also, Judge Eileen Cannon yesterday. Jack Smith was going to release his final report into his Justice Department investigations into Donald Trump when he was president. Well, Judge Cannon delayed the release until the court has time to review an emergency motion. The Smith was set to publish the report ahead of Trump's inauguration. So Trump's lawyers on Monday made an attempt then to stop the release, asking Attorney General Merrick Garland, arguing that the decision should rest with the incoming Trump administration and that releasing it would illegally interfere with the presidential transition. And Judge Eileen Cannon has put that on hold for now. So she has delayed Jack Smith releasing his final report. Also, the Food and Drug Administration is moving forward with a regulatory rule. Here we are, of course, in the final days of the Biden administration. So it would effectively ban cigarettes currently on the market in favor of products with lower nicotine levels, which, according to one expert, says that's just going to wind up boosting business for cartels that are operating on the black market. Rich Marianos who is a former assistant director of the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, said Biden's ban is a gift with a bow and balloons to organized crime cartels. He said, whether it's cartels, Chinese organized crime, or Russian mafia, it's going to keep America smoking, and it's going to make the streets more violent, he says. Also, Zendaya and Tom Holland will be getting married. They are now officially engaged. They've been together for a while now. I think they've been together 4 or 5 years. Tom Holland and Zendaya. So they are reportedly engaged after about 4 years of dating. TMZ was the first to break the news. Holland proposed between Christmas and New Year's Day at one of Zendaya's family homes. And he jokes that studios love it when he's working with her because it's only one hotel room. I thought those two were great together. I loved watching them together. All right, other stories that are trending this morning. Skip Bayless, who you may know as a longtime sports firebrand, he's accused of making unwanted sexual advances and offering $1.5 million to have sex with a former hairstylist. This is a Fox Sports hairstylist. So this is according to a lawsuit that was filed Friday in Los Angeles. She's accusing Bayless, at that time he was a Fox Sports host, of trying to pressure her into a relationship, offering her $1.5 million for sex after she had told him of a cancer scare in 2021. Also, Minneapolis officials have reached an agreement with the Department of Justice to make some pretty significant reform to their discriminatory policing. So the Minneapolis City Council voted 12-0 in favor of the consent decree in a closed-door session. They discussed it for nearly 7 hours on Monday. That agreement comes more than 4 years after police officer Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd by kneeling on his neck, and that sparked protests. And Minneapolis Police Department will require its officers to promote the sanctity of human life. It's the highest priority in their activities. So Minneapolis approving a police oversight plan in hand with the federal government. 2 people have been found dead in the landing gear compartment of a JetBlue flight. This is crazy. Landed in Fort Lauderdale. And the body is on board the flight. So again, this flight left from JFK Airport, New York. And they were discovered Monday night during a routine post-flight maintenance check. And so now officials are looking into how the 2 people got onto the plane. And medical examiners were seen at the airport as officials looking into the deaths. And that story is trending. So 2 people found dead in the landing gear of a JetBlue flight. A new report is raising the question of whether there is a link between fluoride in drinking water and lower IQ levels in children. There's research that was published in JAMA Pediatrics Monday looking into this, and the story is trending. A number of news organizations have picked it up. So the question is, they're taking a look at fluoride. Is there a link between fluoride in drinking water and lower IQ levels in children. Also, Britt Allcroft has died. Britt Allcroft was the producer who adapted Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends for television. She has died at the age of 81. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends was a show that I think was loved by many. So she died. She died on Wednesday, December 25th in Los Angeles. And she actually had a long list of accomplishments, but the one that's probably known by the most number of folks are Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. Okay, the NFL playoffs are here once again, and there are a number of stories that are trending with that. You've got 6 matchups then setting the stage for Super Bowl 59. So the playoffs now are set. This year, you'll see several fresh faces. Washington Commanders, Minnesota Vikings, Denver Broncos, Los Angeles Chargers, all set to compete. McDonald's says they are rolling back some of their diversity practices. They're changing their approach to inclusion at the company. This was in a memo to restaurant owners and operators. So McDonald's now the latest company to back away and or significantly change some of their diversity practices. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Great to have you along. Thanks for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. 6:57, mostly clear and 0. Feels like 13 below. This hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. I hope you'll be back for the 4th hour. That's today at 9:30. Do it here on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Got more and more people who are being a part of that. And if you're one of them, I'm grateful. Thank you so much. So I'll see you again later this morning. Also, keep rolling on here on Kello. So you take care. Have a great Wednesday.
And get inspired by keynote speakers.